Hello, everyone. My name is Samira Zayed. I'm a white female with long brown hair and a ponytail, and I'm wearing a dark blue turtleneck with black pants. I'd like to welcome you to the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities 2025 Technical Assistance Session this Wednesday, March 26th. We'll be commencing in a few moments to allow people to join today's presentation. Before we start with the content of the presentation, we would like to review a few housekeeping items. We'll be recording the presentation. To avoid background feedback, please keep your mics muted during today's presentation. We will have a few Q&A sections in this presentation, and at that time, you can unmute yourself to ask a question and use the raise hand feature. We will not be taking questions outside of the designated Q&A sections or the Q&A box. You do not have to turn on your camera, but if you do, please turn off your camera if you're stepping away. All questions must be sent to mopdinfo@cityofchicago.org. We will be publishing the questions and answers approximately 1 week of today's presentation. We will not be accepting questions in our personal emails or responding to any RFP-related questions sent to any MOPD staff member directly. Before we start, is there anyone who needs access to participate in this presentation? As a reminder, we are posting the recording on our MOPD website about 1 week after today's presentation. I'd like to introduce you to our Senior Policy Analyst, Esther Gutierrez.
Hello, everyone. My name is Esther Gutierrez, Senior Policy Analyst at MOPD. I will be providing a visual description of myself. I am a Mexican woman with dark brown hair pulled back in a ponytail, wearing a blue dress and a teal blazer, seated in my City Hall office. For ease of understanding, and to ensure everyone is on the same page, the following table includes common acronyms that will be used during today's presentation. MOPD will say the full word or phrase as they appeared. For some examples, when we say CDBG, we mean the Community Development Block Grant. When we say Cdga, we mean the Community Development Grant Application, DA Delegate Agency, HOMOD, Home Modification, ILP, Independent Living Program. MOPD is the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. PA is Personal Assistant, and RFP is Request for Funding Proposal. Next slide, please. Today's presentation will cover a lot of ground, including providing an overview of MOPD's mission and vision and the available bid opportunities. The presentation will be split into two main sections, Section 1 and Section 2. Note that there will be an opportunity for a question and answer section at that time. You may unmute yourself and use the raise hand feature. Since we have a lot to cover today, we may not be able to respond to every question. Therefore, in approximately 1 week of today's presentation, MOPD will publish its presentation, the slide deck, and responses to the frequently asked questions on our website. Next slide, please. Note that we will start with Section 1, which will cover the following subsections: MOPD bid opportunity, general requirements, RFP requirements, and lastly, the first of the two question and answer sections. Next slide, please. MOPD's vision is to make Chicago the most accessible and inclusive city in the world. MOPD strives to ensure full participation and equal opportunity in all aspects of life for people with disabilities. We advocate for and directly support programs that improve quality of life and open pathways for innovation and partnership. With a goal of inspiring positive change in Chicago, we work to ensure the rights of the disability community are equitably represented across city services, initiatives, and policies. Next slide, please. Up next, we will review the general requirements of all MOPD's RFPs. Next slide. To bring MOPD's programming into better alignment with MOPD's vision and mission and to ensure better program standards, our department has put in place several requirements that all agencies must adhere to. All organizations responding to MOPD RFPs will be subject to the following general requirements. Please note that we will cover a high-level overview of each requirement in the next few slides. Please make sure to review the full RFP for all requirements. 1. Alignment with MOPD's vision and mission. 2. Demonstrate collaborative work. 3. Organizations must have internal processes to assist people with disabilities and people who speak other languages than English. 4. All agencies will be assigned an MOPD program lead. 5. There will be reporting requirements. 6. Quality assurance and quality control. 7. Agencies must have sufficient staffing capacity to carry out the work. 8. All agencies will be subject to program audits. 9, and they must also comply with laws, statutes, ordinance, and executive orders.
Okay.
And 10, lastly, all programs will need to meet HUD or MOPD objectives. This is about the MOPD program lead. So agencies will be assigned an MOPD program lead that will be responsible for managing the day-to-day functions of the program, including scheduling recurring check-ins, setting goals, monitoring agency performance, etc. They will work with your organization to request reports, documents, and files related to your program. It is expected that all organizations provide responses within a reasonable timeframe and submit requested documents. Next slide, please. Delegate agencies are subject to providing periodic reports and must submit those reports in the method that the city requests. Typically, MOPD requests both qualitative and quantitative data monthly or quarterly and leverages Excel and Microsoft Forms to accomplish this. All programs also use the Online System Enterprise Case Management, or ECM. MOPD intends to continue the use of ECM for all MOPD programs. The reporting requirements and file requirements vary by program, and your assigned MOPD program lead will inform your organization of the complete requirements after selection. Next slide. This is on quality assurance and control. As part of the delegate agency program model, MOPD expects internal quality assurance and control procedures within each organization to ensure they effectively carry out every aspect of the program, from case management to reporting to compliance. Selected agencies must ensure they capture accurate data from the program and remain organized to ensure any program-related files are consistent throughout, regardless of who delivers the direct service. Moreover, organizations must take internal steps to produce complete and accurate information and data to the city. Next slide. This is on agency capacity. MOPD will review the responses to ensure your organization can carry out the proposed services. We will also assess if your organization has adequate systems, internal processes, and procedures addressing hiring, recruitment, staff training plans, and business continuity. While we understand turnover in our industries, agencies are responsible for having internal processes to ensure the work under the contract can continue should the primary staff member leave the organization. Also, the city operates under a reimbursement model, meaning agencies must submit invoices to the city for all work completed, and agencies should have sufficient cash flow to cover the costs while they await reimbursement. Next slide. Selected organizations are subject to an annual program and financial audit. Under the contract, your organization acknowledges that the city may perform or cause to be performed various monitoring procedures relating to your awards of federal funds, including but not limited to any audit or reviews related to compliance with grant requirements. More details about this can be found in your RFP, as there are additional factors such as the total amount of federal award dollars received. Next slide. Compliance with laws, statutes, ordinance, and executive orders. Delegate agencies are funded through various funding sources, and some of those sources are federal. Agencies are advised to read all the information in the funding sources section of the RFP and visit the listed links to become familiar with additional regulatory requirements for local, federal, and state funding. Note that some programs are subject to various regulations. For example, MOPD's HomeOut program is funded by the Community Development Block Grant and subject to the Department of Housing and Urban Development CDBG requirements with an overlay of State of Illinois and City of Chicago requirements. Next slide. Up next, we will go to the RFP requirements for MOPD. Next slide. The RFP sections. The RFPs for HomeOut, ILP, and PA each contain several sections, including criteria applicable to all three and sections only pertinent to the individual RFP. All interested organizations are advised to read the entire RFP carefully and work with the decision makers of your organization to determine if the requirements of this RFP are within the scope and ability of your organization. There are several sections that we have listed, a few of the key sections in this slide. 1, general information. 2, key dates. 3, evaluation and selection criteria. 4, compliance with laws and statutes, ordinances, and executive orders. 5, insurance requirements. 6, section 3. 7, subrecipient financial accountability and federally funded programs. And 8, programs in the RFP and application questions. Next slide. General information on the RFP. Please keep the following in mind when applying. Submission of an RFP does not ensure that your organization will receive an award. 2, the city assumes no liability for costs incurred in submitting this application or for costs incurred in anticipation of receiving an award. 3, any award is conditional until there is an executed contract. 4, all payments of funds as well as the terms and conditions of the grant agreement will be subject to the appropriation and availability of funds as well as the terms and conditions of the grant agreement. In other words, City Council must approve MOPD's budget. 5, the city may reduce the compensation or terminate the agreement. Next slide, please. This is on eligibility requirements. Interested agencies are subject to a competitive bid process. Since the City of Chicago funds the program, all organizations are expected to deliver the services within and to the City of Chicago residents. Do note that organizations with existing contracts with the city that are not in good standing will not be considered for new funding. Also, applicants with previous contract terminations or who have faced other severe findings will also not be considered. Next slide, please. This is on the anticipated term of contract and funding. The anticipated funding and program timeframe for HOMAD and ILP and PA is expected to be from January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2028. There will be a possible extension for 2 additional 1-year terms. Next slide. Here are a few key dates. The table that's on the screen right now includes a few key dates related to this bid opportunity. To ensure we're all on the same page, apologies, the dates are as follows. The MOPD RFP release will be on Tuesday, April 1st. The technical session, of course, is being held right now today. The application closes on Monday, June 2nd. Organizations for MOPD will be notified if they were selected and what the award will be by no later than November 2025. The program year will begin on January 1st, 2026, and contracts will be executed on January 1st, 2026 or thereafter. Of course, there are additional steps that will be completed on or before the date, and we will notify all applicable agencies when appropriate or if when more information is available. This is the evaluation and criteria for MOPD. Once the application window closes, MOPD will start working towards completing a technical review of all applications. The technical review consists of MOPD staff checking to ensure all required documents are uploaded, all questions have been responded to, and meet any certification requirements, if the program requires it. It is crucial that agencies meet all the criteria listed in the RFP, have adequate systems in place, and be able to carry out the required services under the allotted timeframe of the 1 calendar year. For all MOPD existing delegate agencies or those that were delegate agencies in the past 5 years, they are subject to additional review of their previous performance metrics. MOPD will convene an evaluation committee comprised of City of Chicago staff. Members will be given a scoring rubric, the RFP application, the RFP questions, and documents uploaded by the agency, and an MOPD created reviewer's guide and scoring rubric to facilitate scoring. Members will be asked to score each application from 0 to 100 based on the scoring rubric, which we will cover in the following slides. All members will be given a deadline to complete their scores. After that, MOPD will tabulate all scores, review any applicable performance history, review for compliance, and confirm that agencies meet the requirements. A list of prospective delegate agencies will be shared with the commissioner, and the commissioner has the right to reject or recommend organizations that apply. Next slide, please. This is the scoring rubric for HomeMod. It will be available in the RFP as well. So all applications moving to the evaluation committee phase will be scored based on the following 5 sections, specifically for HomeMod: community involvement, strength of proposed program, performance management and outcomes, organizational capacity, and reasonable cost, budget justification, and leverage of funds. For ILP and PA, they will be scored on the strength of the proposed program, organizational capacity, reasonable cost, budget justification, and leverage of funds, and performance management and outcomes. Reasons for rejection of an RFP. All applications moving to the evaluation committee phase, the City of Chicago reserves the right to reject applications for a variety of reasons. The reasons are listed in the RFP include The organization submitted a non-compliant proposal, for example, missing documentation. The respondent has MOPD or city department performance-related concerns in the past 5 years. The deadline for submission was missed. The proposal topic was not aligned with the requirements of the RFP. The budget was unrealistic. Respondent has insufficient staffing for the program, or the respondent's proposed work program does not meet MOPD standards or is unrealistic. This is on the application questions. Once again, we advise all applicants to review the entire RFP and provide thorough, accurate responses to the application questions. There are several sections in each application, and respondents are expected to provide responses to each question. Some of the sections include contact and organization information, organization overview, program summary, audit requirements, locations and geographic areas, work programs, budget information, service provision, and organizational capacity. Required documents. Each application requires specific documents to be completed and uploaded. Review all attachments in the application to ensure you are following all upload instructions. Each program document requirements vary, and the following is a list of some of the documents required. So once again, each RFP documentation varies, but for ours, here are some. 1. Liability insurance. 2. SAM certificate. 3. Financial statements. 4. Quality assurance and control procedures. 5. Board member identification. 6. Certificate of good standing from the state of Illinois. 7. Organizational charts. 8. Work program form. 9. The IRS determination letter. 10. Bylaws and articles of incorporation. 11. Up-to-date resumes. And 12. The budget form. In the next slide, we'll be providing a quick walkthrough of where to find the current bid opportunities for HOMOD, IOP, and PA. All the RFPs must be accessed through the city's e-procurement website. For your convenience, the solicitation numbers of each opportunity are captured in the table slide below. This screen contains a few of the links for the vendor registration, vendor login, and current bids and solicitation opportunities here with the City of Chicago, which will also be made available. And here's the iSupplier portal. We have reached the end of section 1. We will now use a moment to answer any quick questions. And in our next section, we will be going through the specific program details of HOMOD, ILP, and PA. I see Linda with a hand raised.
I have a question. Hello, I'm Linda Weatherspoon with Roll Call Organization. I just wanted to ask the requirement documents. You said work program form. What is that?
That is a form that will be available within the RFP. It will require specifically what you intend to do as part of the opportunity. So detailing the work and the quantity of work.
Okay, so you all will supply the form and we fill that out.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Hello, Eddie.
Yeah, good. Yeah, my question is, must you be 5013C to qualify to apply for any of these areas?
Each RFP has different requirements of what kind of entities they allow. So please make sure that you review the RFP specifically.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. In the interest of time, we will be moving on to section 2. Up next, we will have Mark Nobriga present on the HOMOD program, and Pamela Palmentera will present on the Independent Living program and the Personal Assistant program. There will be another question and answer session following their presentations. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Hello, I'm Mark Nobriga, the Program Director of the Home Modification Program, also known as the HOMOD program. I'm a white male with a blue and white dress shirt on and sitting in an office setting. Today we'll cover the specific programmatic information about the HOMOD program. Please note that there will be a question and answer section after we conclude section 2. MOPD is funding delegate agencies to provide both accessible modifications and repairs for mechanical lifts for disabled homeowners and renters across Chicago. These agencies must have or obtain lead licensing and an abatement license to ensure safe practices. The HOMOD program aims to make homes safer and more accessible. offer ongoing maintenance for mechanical lifts, and reduce the need for institutional care by helping individuals stay in their own homes. Additionally, the delegate agencies must be able to service all areas within the City of Chicago to ensure that these services are available to everyone who needs them. The program is available to homeowners, renters, and privately owned residences within the City of Chicago and is open to clients of all ages. Applicants must submit an application along with documentation to verify their income, age, disability status, homeowners insurance, and property ownership. To qualify, the applicant must own or rent their home as their primary and sole residence, and their household income must be at or below 80% of the Chicago area median income. Applicants must be free of any outstanding debt to the City of Chicago, which will be confirmed through a scofflaw check. Additionally, applicants must not be in foreclosure, behind on property taxes, or actively attempting to leave their home.
Hello, everyone. My name is Samara Zayed. I will be taking over for Mark since his mic is not working. So MOPD will provide up to $26,000 in assistance to approved home mod applicants and will remain on a centralized waiting list. Home mod agencies are required to keep accurate case files, either digitally or in a physical format. The scopes of work submitted by agencies must include all relevant tasks and construction details related to accessible modifications and repairs. Agencies must also comply with prevailing wage laws, with periodic reporting required. Delegate agencies are not allowed to reduce client assistance to avoid compliance requirements. Additionally, all participants and their properties must pass all reviews and requirements. The HomeMod program qualifies under the HUD National Objective of the CDBG Housing Activities LMH Low to Moderate Income Housing category. According to CDBG guidelines, this includes the construction or improvement of permanent residential structures that will be occupied by low to moderate income households once completed. For HUD reporting purposes, selected agencies will need to collect and report specific client and property information as instructed by MOPD. The costs associated with accessible rehabilitation of a property include labor, materials, supplies, and other expenses. These may cover the repair or replacement of structural, electrical, and plumbing components to bring the existing structure into code compliance. The activities involved in this process include the installation of lifts, ramps, accessible bathrooms and kitchens, as well as necessary construction and corrective measures. Additionally, it involves visual assessing, reporting, treating, and testing of lead-based paint as part of our home modification. Repairing and servicing mechanical lifts is also included. Up next, we'll have Pamela Palmentero introduce the Independent Living Program.
Good morning. Hello, my name is Pamela Palmentera. I am the Program Director with the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities in the Disability Resource Unit. I am a middle-aged white woman with brown and gray hair who wears glasses. Today I'm wearing a brown shirt with a beige turtleneck. For ILP, its solicitation number is 53650. The ILP program meets the HUD national objective of improving quality of life in local communities. For HUD reporting purposes, selected respondents will be required to gather and report specific client data and information as directed by the city. Today, I will go through two separate bid opportunities. Up first is the Independent Living Program, also known as ILP. Next slide. The Independent Living Program service offers personalized assessments to improve independence, accessibility, and safety at home. The MOPD funded delegate agencies will handle all aspects of the program, including outreach, phone screenings, intake, functional assessments, and client eligibility for these services. Next slide, please. In order to be considered an eligible client for services, individuals must have applied and deemed ineligible by the Illinois Department of Human Services, IDHS, or the Department of Rehab Services, or DRS. Applicants must be Chicago residents, age 59 or younger, with a permanent disability, significantly limiting their major life activities, such as ADLs and IADLs, have an income below 80% of the area median income, and live without adequate support to meet their needs. Next slide, please. The program aims to provide in-home assessments and services to approximately 450 individuals annually, conducting a minimum of 20 assessments per month performed by credentialed staff who will determine each individual's level of functioning, as well as gather the necessary documentation to support the client's eligibility. Program staff will track data, maintain paper and electronic files, monitor all aspects of service delivery, and ensure client confidentiality is upheld. Additionally, staff will participate in Mopd events, including city or program-wide networking, and attend relevant events, as well as distribute Mopd information to their existing networks. Next slide, please. For fiscal year 2026, the anticipated award range for funding is between $250,000 to $370,000. The final awards will depend on the appropriation and availability of funds from various sources. The contract will run from January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2028, with the possibility of 2 one-year contract extensions. Eligible respondents for this funding include not-for-profit community-based organizations, home care, and/or personal care assistant agencies, as well as healthcare agencies. Next slide, please. Now we will move on to the next and final opportunity, the Personal Assistance Program. For the PA program, its solicitation number is 53649. The Personal Assistance Program meets the HUD national objective of improving quality of life in local communities. Again, for HUD reporting purposes, selected respondents will be required to gather and report specific client data and information as directed by the City of Chicago. Next slide, please. The goal is to help individuals maintain independence and improve their quality of life by providing in-home services. Services offered may include personal assistance, household chores, and training in daily living tasks. Tasks may include bathing, dressing, grocery shopping, meal preparation, light housekeeping, trash disposal, and laundry. The type of personal assistance is based on an individual's needs and is limited to a maximum of 6 hours per week. A record is to be kept of how these hours are utilized. Next slide, please. For the Personal Assistance Program, eligible clients must be Chicago residents with a permanent disability referred by the Mopd delegate agency under the Independent Living Program. The criteria include being a Chicago resident who is 59 years old or younger, live without adequate support to meet their daily living needs, and have an income that is less than 80% of the area median income. The Personal Assistance Program aims to empower individuals by promoting autonomy and improving their overall quality of life. The program focuses on several key areas by encouraging personal empowerment and self-determination, supporting skills development for daily living. For example, learning how to use assistive devices or technology in their home. Enhancing individual navigation through accessible public transport routes. And lastly, the program fosters community integration and social engagement by promoting an individual's participation in their community. For fiscal year 2026, the anticipated award range for funding is between $250,000 to $370,000. The final awards will depend on the appropriation and availability of funds from various sources. The contract period runs from January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2028, with the possibility of 2 one-year contract extensions. In fiscal year 2022, there were 2 applications received and 1 agency funded. Eligible respondents for this funding include not-for-profit community-based organizations, home care, and personal care agencies, as well as healthcare agencies. I am now turning it back over to Mark Nobrega for the next section.
We have reached the end of section 2. We will now have 5 minutes for a question and answer section. Please use the raise hand feature and unmute yourself to ask your question. You can also put your question in the chat. Thank you.
Unmute yourself and ask your question.
I think there's 2 issues here. One for independent living in and their house, the modification house. Is that the owner's house or rental house?
So, Esther, if people can hear me, I can maybe try to take this
Yes.
question. So the modifications are physically done by contracted services, meaning the vendor. The owner of the home would not need to be involved in any of the construction other than to give the approval so that we can get permits and do the actual work. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So it's not a rental; it's a own house.
Correct. It would be the house of the house which the individual lives in that we would be modifying.
Okay.
There are some thank you, Eddie. There are some additional questions in the chat. I'll keep talking as long as people can keep hearing me. There's the first question. I think this one is for Pam. Is the ILP funding 250 to 370 or 390K? Is a question about how much the funding is for the ILP.
Okay. Would that be
It's a range from $250,000 to $370,000, depending on available funds from various funding sources. It will be based on the city budget.
So we do have some more. Let's try to work our way through the actual chat. Could you please show the slide and review the independent living program requirements once more?
As Esther referenced, the slides will be available in approximately 1 week for your review. You're welcome to download them, as well as the frequently asked questions from this technical assistance.
And we'll move on to the next question. It says, hi, can you speak to some of the eligibility requirements for the HomeMod program? So the eligibility requirements for the HomeMod program are fairly simple. You would have, we're talking about the applicants for this program now. You would have to live in the city of Chicago. You would have to have a disability. You would have to have the home available to you, meaning you would have to live in the actual home. You're going to have your indebtedness to the city will be checked. And then, of course, we have to do an assessment of the physical home to see what is required and what the building is physically capable of taking. In most instances, what we're looking for in the first go around is typically a vertical platform lift or some other forms of ingress and egress out of the home for safety and life safe reasons.
Okay, I have one other question. Is this range of amount, is it for one building or for many?
Sorry, can you restate that again?
This the amount here, the range there, is that for one building or for multiple?
So the $26,000 range is the maximum range for one individual's unit. It doesn't mean we spend that amount of money for everyone. That is the maximum range. Sometimes jobs cost a lot less, and sometimes they cost up to that amount.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. The next question on the chat, I think we've already went over this. We did. That was the question in regards to the ILP programmatic funding range. The next question is, do you know if the slides will be shared with us? If so, where to find it? We will be sharing the slides and we'll make that available to everyone. And then I believe there's another question here. All All very important services that citizens need. I'm wondering about business owned and operated by people with disabilities. How might we bid for the City of Chicago? Bid for the City of Chicago work? Do we need to be disability certified? I'm a Black woman with a disability and would enjoy offering my service to the City of Chicago. I'd like to hand this question off to Esther if she would like to answer it.
Hello. For our request for proposals, it really does vary, but we do require them to either be a nonprofit, and for example, the independent living program, a home health care agency or personal assistant agency. This is the competitive bid opportunity, so this is the opportunity for your organization to apply for any of the RFPs.
And so we're going to go to the next one. I think this is a clarification on Eddie's question. Eddie is asking if rentals are available to be modified or just homeowner properties. So we also do modifications to rentals, but of course you would have to have the homeowner's permission to make any changes to that property. The homeowner is the person who would sign off on the permits, and of course we get permits for all our jobs. So we provide service to both renters, rentals, and home-owned properties. I think we can skip over the next one. It says the slide said 390 for ILP. I think that was explained. The next question is for HomeMod. Does it require delegate agency be HUD certified? The agency we use for the HomeMod program are certified by the city and by the vendor, but of course we do have specific HUD guidelines that we follow for all of these jobs. So that certification comes in the form of rules and regs that we follow to administer these programs with our HUD funding.
I want to add to that question. I believe what is also intended by the question is HUD certified, such as the housing counselors. No, this is not related to that.
So we'll move on to the next question. What role does a not-for-profit organization play in the HomeMod program? Not-for-profits are, through HomeMod, not-for-profits and for-profits are essentially treated the same as vendors. What we'd consider is the ability of the vendor, whether or not they're for-profit or not-for-profit, to provide the services we're asking throughout the city. So we would accept both versions of them. The next comment is Pam linked the 2025 CDBG book. It's in a PDF form. There's a link for it. I think we're going over that website. And
I think we're at time, as the next sections will be starting shortly. So thank you, everyone, and we will go on into the next slide, please. So the following are a few recommended best practices when applying to this RFP opportunity. A very few important tips include start early and submit early, review all the instructions carefully, double check to ensure all questions are answered, double check to ensure all documents are uploaded. For up-to-date information on MOPD, please visit our social media on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. We also have an MOPD All Access podcast, which we will link on the slide deck as well as our accessibility calendar of events. We have reached the end of today's technical assistance webinar for MOPD's request for funding proposal opportunity for the HomeMod, ILP, and PA programs. We do thank you for joining us today. And as a reminder, we will be publishing the presentation slides, the questions and answers in the recording of the videos today in approximately 1 week of today's presentation. We will also send out an email to all attendees once the information is available on our website. If you have any further questions after today's presentation, please send them via email only to mopdinfo@cityofchicago.org. MOPD will not be accepting questions in another method, including any emails or phone calls directly to MOPD staff members. Due to the volume of questions and the Memorial Day weekend holiday, all questions must be submitted to us by Monday, May 26 at noon Central Standard Time. And a reminder that the RFP is closing on Monday, June the 2nd. MOPD cannot guarantee that your organization will not run into technical issues the day submissions are due. So again, start early and submit early. Thank you and have a wonderful day.